I'm down on the allotment today on this glorious day, and you know why that is, don't you? Because I'm back at work later. It's the 21st of August, which means now we're thinking about the winter ahead. And one thing which I'm going to be planting today, so we can get some lovely new potatoes by Christmas, is some Christmas potatoes. We've got two really nice varieties here which I'm going to be planting today. We've got Desiree and we've got Charlotte, a really nice salad potato. Two very popular options. Now I went to the garden centre, got those, and I also picked up a couple of other things as well. I picked up some white Casablanca garlic. Hopefully we get some better garlic next year than we did this year. It was a disaster this year. And we also picked up some daffodils, so we can get a nice display of daffodils in the spring. I'm going to do them much more packed together, much more dense arrangement of bulbs, because this year's wasn't very spectacular at all, to be honest. Now obviously I'm not going to be doing that in this video, that's going to be next month. Today is all about the Christmas potatoes. Now I'm actually using these 30-litre containers again, which I like growing my potatoes in. I never grow them in the ground anymore because of the wireworm last year. It was really bad, the wireworm, but we're not going to go into that now. I'm actually using the compost which I grew my main crop potatoes in. To be honest, there was some horse manure in there which is still in there, only just really broken down, to be honest. And I'm going to be adding some bloodfish and bone, and I'm going to be adding some Miracle Grow peat-free compost to add some nutrients to it as well. And I'm going to be planting 4 of these potatoes per bucket rather than 2, simply because these potatoes are only going to be picked as new potatoes, not big, massive jacket potatoes. Not only do we have these 2 nice seed potatoes here, but we also have these sprouted potatoes from last year's potatoes. Now they have gone very long and spindly. These have been in the shed now for the past year, but surprisingly, you know, they've chitted nicely, and there's some big sprouts in there. There's a couple of different varieties here. We're going to throw these in and see what happens. You know, if we don't get much, then you know we've not really lost anything. So that's where all our Tupperware tubs have gone. The missus ain't going to be very happy. Okay, so we've got our old compost in here mixed in with, you know, some well-rotted horse manure. So I'm going to go in with a good handful of this bloodfish and bone. I'm just going to put 2 in the bottom like that. I'm going to go in with a handful of Miracle Grow peat-free compost. Then we're going to go in with some of this old compost from the main crop potatoes. Now I'm doing this because compost is so expensive nowadays. It's actually really ridiculous. I think in Tesco I saw a bag of 50-litre compost or 40-litre compost, and it was like £6 or £7. And if I were to fill up all these buckets using just shop bought compost, just fresh shop bought compost, I'd be spending an absolute fortune. And I know homegrown potatoes are much better than shop bought ones. You know, the fresh, you know, the cleaner, much newer. You know, shop bought potatoes been in storage for like a year. But you know, I still don't want to spend a fortune. So this is why I'm reusing this compost. So I'm going in with more fresh compost on top, a bit more bloodfish and bone on top there. So I'm just topping it up with this fresh compost, and I'm also going to apply a mulch on top of here as well. I'm going to leave these containers outside for now, and then when it starts to get cooler around September, October, I'm going to move them into the greenhouse where the tomatoes were, because by then the tomatoes will be gone, I think. Now, Desiree are an early main crop variety of potato, or indeterminate variety, and Charlotte are a second early variety of potato, or determinate type of potato. Now usually I would only plant 2 main crop potatoes per bucket, but because I'm only growing these till Christmas to be new potatoes, I'm planting 4 per bucket. Now with the Charlottes, it doesn't really make any difference because they're second earlies anyway. But what I'm doing here is I'm planting 4 per bucket. I'm planting 2 on the bottom third of the container, and then I'm planting another 2 towards the top third of the container. And what this is going to do, this is going to make the most use out of the space in the container. So I'm planting on 2 different levels. Now, as I said before, I am using a lot of compost from the last harvest of potatoes from our main crops. Now obviously I've made sure that there's no rogue potatoes in there from last time. I don't want any extra ones sprouting. And I've also made sure that there was no blight present as well. Didn't really have a problem with potato blight this year because we were growing blight resistant varieties. But I've made sure that there's none in there because if there was a bit of blight, any rogue potatoes being live tissues will harbour blight and it could spread. So I've made sure that I've not done that. Are you growing potatoes for Christmas? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested to know if you're growing them this year and what varieties you're growing. And if you have any tips and advice about growing potatoes for Christmas, I'd love to know because this is actually my first time ever growing potatoes for Christmas. It's completely new. Usually I just do the usual first, second, earlies and the main crops throughout the spring and summer. I've never actually done them for Christmas, so any tips and advice, I'd really appreciate it. And once I've planted these, I'm also adding some straw as well on the top as a mulch, which is going to help retain the moisture in the container so they don't dry out as much. It's also going to prevent the sunlight from touching them tubers, which could turn them green, which we don't want. And this mulch is also going to suppress weeds as well. So 3 benefits there of using mulch. I always mulch these containers with straw because they can dry out incredibly quick. Okay, so that is 3 buckets of Desiree, 3 buckets over here of Charlotte, and then 7 buckets of these leftover main crop potatoes from last year, which I've just thrown in. See what happens really. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some nice new potatoes at Christmas time to enjoy with our Christmas dinner. These will be sat outside now for probably around about 4 to 6 weeks, and then they're going to go in the greenhouse. I was a little bit concerned about the blight. We have had some blight, but by the time these come up, blight shouldn't be as much of an issue because hopefully we can have a nice potato reveal come Christmas time, so do stay tuned for that. And a few weeks ago I did my main crop potato reveal video. I'm really pleased with how our container grown potatoes did, so if you want to check that out you can view it by clicking here. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video interesting and I will see you in the next one. Remember, subscribe if you haven't already so you can see when I upload new content just like this, and hit that like button if you like this video. See you in the next one. Happy gardening, stay safe.